Welcome back to another video. That's right, I told you yesterday when we did the ban list update. Here it is. Here's the deck that we were brewing up here. We're gonna go card by card. We got here first, triple Jowgen the Spiritualist. Why are we running Jowgen? Because it literally says destroy all special summon monsters, but you have to discard a card. Does it really matter? No. You'll see why. And then we have the other effect, which is the effect you're playing it for. Neither player can special summon. Now, what deck do you guys remember from back in the days that ran this very, very well? That's right, Spellbooks. Because this is a modernized update. Next, we have triple Blue Boy, Spellbook, Magician of Prophecy, which Magician of Prophecy is literally like you summon, you get your Spellbook cards, and you just go off, okay? Then you run 2 Grenmadju Daezum. Why do you run 2 Grenmadju? Because this is a banished dot deck. This is a banished Spellbook, a macro Spellbook. So you gotta run Grenmadju, because if you're not special summoning, why not? Have a big idiot, big beat stick your opponent can't get through. Then you run, for your hand traps, you run triple Dimension Shifter. It's a given. You're running a macro deck. If you don't see macro or it's your opponent's going first, you have shifter. You shifter them. It literally says game over tier. Screw you tiers, right? And then you run 1 Cyber Jar. Because Cyber Jar is perfect. Because if your opponent's going first and they set up, and then you set Jar, and then you activate macro, if you're playing against tier, they can't do anything. They're locked into straight going into battle. They think you brick. They attack your Cyber Jar. Now all their cards get banished. You don't care if the jar gets banished. Who cares what monsters they bring? Does nothing to them. And then we move into spell cards. We have triple Spellbook of Knowledge. Very, very key for this deck. Why? Because it states here, send to the graveyard either 1 Spellbook monster you control or 1 other Spellbook card from your hand or face up on the field, except Spellbook of Knowledge, and if you do, draw 2 cards. You can only activate 1 Spellbook of Knowledge per turn. Why is this important? Before you activate your Macrocosmos, you're going to go into Spellbook of Knowledge by drawing a shit ton of cards, and when you draw a lot of cards, then you're going to go, okay, now I'll set my Macrocosmos, or I'll activate my Dimensional Fissures, and then go from there. You have triple Secrets. Add 1 Spellbook card from your deck to your hand, except Spellbook Secret, once per turn. Why? Because you're running 1 Judgment. What does Judgment do? Literally just says summon a monster with levels equal to or less than the amount of spell cards activated after you have activated Spellbook of Judgment. And it comes directly from your deck. So if you don't have a Jowgen, all you do is you go Judgment, Jowgen, set macro, or activate Dimensional Fissure. It kind of says game to your opponent, right? So this set here, even though this is needing the graveyard here, you don't activate your Macrocosmos until you do your plays. Then you have your triple Necro Valley, which is a given. Just literally tells your tier players, you can't move your cards from your graveyard. Sorry. Screw you, tier. Then 1 Secret Village, because if your opponent has a way of an out, you go, okay, then I'll activate Secret Village because I don't need Necro Valley. And now your opponent's locked into no spells and no special summon. And again, you only activate Secret Village if you have Jowgen on the field. We have 1 Terraforming, because you're running 4 field spells. You gotta double Raigeki, because come on, if you can macro them and then double and then Raigeki, that's a bonus, right? A huge bonus. Then we have double Extravagance, because you don't use your extra deck. In this deck, there's no extra deck whatsoever being used at all. Okay, and for that reason why you're not using your extra deck is why you run Extravagance. I tested this with Pot of Desires, because Desires may be a little bit easier to obtain. Not as good. It's not as good as Extravagance. So 2 Extravagance and 2 Duality. Now, some people will opt to run 3, but I would do, this is a good ratio. Double Extravagance and double duality. Then we go into your macro set, your triple dimensional figures and triple macro cosmos. Since they gave it back, this is macro turbo right here. Then you have triple metaverse, because triple metaverse just gets you Necro Valley, or it gets you the secret village based on what you need. Like, let's say you don't have your macro cosmos, but your opponent activates a tier limit effect. You go metaverse into Necro Valley, shuts him down. Okay. Now, you have this already on the field, and your opponent goes, I'll activate a spell card. They don't control a spellcaster. You immediately go, okay, metaverse into secret village. That there spell card now negated. Then you run double skill drain because, again, you don't care about... You've already locked them with Jowgen and everything. That's fine. You can activate skill drain to say, hey, you can't activate monster effects now because you somehow found an out with your monster. Alright. No, you can't. Because then you just go Blue Boy Beatdown for 500. Because then at that point your Gren Maju does nothing. But if you activate skill drain, you go into Blue Boy Beatdown. And then you run triple Solemn Judgment because you want to protect this board as much as you can. So triple Judgment and one Lone Strike. And then your extra deck can be any 15 cards. Now, you can run side decks if you'd like. I feel like this deck doesn't need a side deck. Yeah, you could probably run triple Cosmic Cyclones, a Harpy's Feather Duster, the Dust Tornadoes, back row removals if you meet up against a player that has a lot of back rows that can stop with you. But overall, most of the meta now is tier limits and maybe some sprites and flu. And again, against Fluunderees, you want to take these out. So maybe you could side them out and take these out and run all your back row removals instead. And then run some cards that buff the crap out of your prophecy. I don't know. But this is mostly built to stop tier limit, Sprite Runic, and Pure Sprite and Pure Runic. Because that's more dominant. And even Dragon Links stop this too. So... anyways, now, let's get into some gameplay. happened? They scooped in the net. I met a... See, this deck is a bit toxic. It makes people scoop. But, yeah, so I finally, after over an hour of just constantly playing and meeting scooping players and stuff, it wasn't a great game, but even in this format, you'll see a lot of players have Fallen of Albaz in their deck or branded stuff. I mean, you saw what it did here. It shut it down. No spells, no graveyard, all banish, and no special summon. And I mean, just for fun, at the end, you saw I got rid of my Jalgan just to pump my Grand Maju, but yeah, this is the deck. It pisses people off, essentially, what it does. So, and in today's format, most players are tier limit players, so you know what's going to happen to a tier limit player? Immediate scoop. Anyways, remember, get your game on!